Hello and welcome. My name is Marc Blatstein, the physician founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. I'm a physician, prison consultant at Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. As I said, my phone, 240-888-7778. Today, I'm going to discuss the FBI and Department of Justice targeting Medicare false claims, durable medical equipment, digital health technology, and telemedicine. Their goals for 2026. And so to start, the topics I'm going to review is first starts with artificial intelligence, AI, is the Department of Justice's main tool of choice. The reason is that between that and their analytics, artificial intelligence, it doesn't need to be monitored and it's constantly data mining. So that's one part. Then there's preparation. What happens if you find out that you're in the crosshairs of the FBI? Acknowledging the impact of your indictment. This is a durable medical equipment fraud. Next, Medicare false claims, had several. Digital health technology and telemedicine, Texas rheumatologist, sham hospice companies, and tax conspiracies related to operation of numerous skilled nursing facilities in Wisconsin, Jersey, and Michigan. Department of Justice is going to be expanding on their wins from 2025. So it's not going to be getting less. They're going to be prosecuting more. Fraud enforcement isn't slowing down. They're just gearing up. From Legal 500 Intelligence, Department of Justice Criminal Fraud Division, 2025 year in review, their healthcare fraud is front and center. So if you are in the healthcare sector, whether life sciences, you're importing or doing business overseas, pharmaceuticals, durable medical equipment, whatever the case may be, you're a CEO of a hospital system, you're the provider, you are all being looked at 24/7, 365 by artificial intelligence. And it's pretty crazy. It's AI is a DOJ's tool of choice. They don't need sleep. This multi-agency artificial intelligence is not a future concept. It's operational now. And so businesses, including, if you're a provider, basically your business needs to begin preparation. Rather than they deploy a single artificial intelligence system, they have organizations that are moving toward coordinated networks of specialized agents that can independently act, collaborate, and adapt in real time. That's amazing. Whether you're going to go for trial or a plea, this is a strategic decision between you and your attorney. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you go to my website and see this blog post article, everything that is highlighted where there's a link is mostly to a YouTube tutorial to show you what I'm talking about. If in fact you're going to trial, that's okay. I mean, you have a legal team, hopefully, that you have uh, picked out where they have experience with cases like yours in federal court. And if all parties believe that you have a case, then go to court, go to trial. The only thing I add or recommend is not to aggravate the judge or the court, because should you not be successful, you may have to go back to that judge for leniency. What are you supposed to do? What can you do? Preparation for your pre-sentence interview. That's a big deal. The pre-sentence interview is your it's your future. The probation officer conducts the interview, but your judge relies on the probation officer for a sentencing recommendation for you, as well as potentially a placement request. So as soon as you hear that the FBI is asking questions, their case against you is mostly complete. First, you need legal counsel with experience that have experience in cases like yours and that they work and used to working in federal courts. Second, if prison time becomes unavoidable, preparing for your pre-sentence interview, your interview with the probation officer, is crucial. it's this pre-sentence report that the probation officer is going to write, otherwise known as the PSR, is known also by inmates as the inmate's Bible. And so what I have right here is my process. Satellite view is it preparing you for the interview. And the most important part to start is that right now the Department of Justice has released your indictment to the world. They're advertising for you for free. And you sound like America's most wanted. Unless you challenge that argument with a comprehensive autobiographical narrative of who you are, your backstory, it's not an excuse, but it allows you to humanize yourself to your judge. You don't have that. And all the judge is going to be left to sentence you with is the four corners of your indictment, as well as the pre-sentence report, which probably doesn't look great. Getting your message on the record is essentially taking that comprehensive autobiographical narrative, your backstory, and having it embedded within the pre-sentence report, which means it needs to be written before you get to the interview. Developing BOP or placement options, you can do that. You can actually request a BOP placement. There's no guarantee you're going to get it, but it can help if you at least start with getting the probation officer on your side. You have a choice possibly between a minimum FPC federal prison camp, which is freestanding, versus a minimum satellite camp. Satellite camps are attached to higher security facilities. So, with that being said, the satellite camp may provide more programming, first step back programming, because there's just more inmates and more guards and more people there. But at the same time, because it's a higher security level, that also may impact you in a negative way where it just the guards, inmates, everyone's a little bit more stressful. The freestanding federal prison camp, also a minimum, may not have as many of the programs, but it could. But definitely it has lesser security. Advice from federal judges when to start preparing. Mark Bennett said including your personal narrative in your pre-sentence report is a great idea as he was interviewed, acknowledging the impact of your indictment. What does that mean? Judges understand that crimes don't happen in a vacuum. What were your reasons? They understand that the prosecutor wants a conviction, that the Department of Justice wants a conviction, the prosecutor wants prison time, your attorney wants to keep you out of prison. But the only person that they don't know anything about at this point is you. Unless if you don't provide an autobiographical narrative or backstory at the time of or before your pre-sentence interview so that the probation officer can review it, use parts of it within the official pre-sentence report, your judge is going to be left to sentence you based on the four corners of that indictment. Not a good place to be. Providers, healthcare executives, life sciences. I've said this many times. You're going to be a Department of Justice target. What's the Department of Justice doing? Durable medical equipment fraud. Gary Cox, CEO of a healthcare software company, Power Mobility, was convicted of an Israel of fraud involving over $1 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare and other federal programs. So I'm going to take this page 30. Below here, we have the fraud section, but we're not at that point yet. So we're going to go here, page 30, and then I'm going to bring this up, the same one, same document, page 30, Gary Cox. Gary Cox, the CEO of healthcare software company Power Mobility, convicted for his role in a fraud conspiracy of $1 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare. Big numbers. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Cox and his co-conspirators used the platform to generate fake doctor's orders for durable medical equipment, orthotic braces, pain creams, etc. It's a lot of money. Telemedicine, right here, is a very big thing that the Department of Justice is also targeting. Back. Medicare false claims, digital health technology, and telemedicine initiatives. Jamie P. McNamara of Missouri was sentenced to 10 years for orchestrating a scheme that billed approximately $174 million in false claims to Medicare. He ran different labs in Louisiana, Texas that conducted genetic tests for cancer and cardiovascular diseases. Telemedicine physicians approved these tests without in-person meetings or legitimate consultations. So we're going to go here to where I found the original source material. Then we're going to go to page 33. Digital health and telemedicine. October 2025, McNamara of Missouri was sentenced to 10 years in prison for orchestrating a scheme that billed approximately $174 million in false claims to Medicare. These were cancer and cardiovascular genetic tests. Telemedicine was involved. So it's not a good place to be because the Department of Justice, as I've alluded to, is using artificial intelligence to scan everything you're doing online. And healthcare has the target on their back. And probably it's because more so now because the administration took away majority of medical care for individuals. And so they're trying to at least make it seem like they're working in our behalf. I don't know. Defrauding Medicare, page 39 below, Texas rheumatologist. Zamora Quezada was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his involvement in $325 million fraud, falsely diagnosed patients with RA or rheumatoid arthritis and prescribed harmful medications, defrauding Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, which is the military Blue Cross Blue Shield, over 118 million in claims. We're going to go over here to page 39. And here's a rheumatologist sentenced to 10 years, $324 million in fraud. A very, very big deal. Also, over here, we'll jump around a bit. Petros Blatstein, I'm not pronouncing it well, was sentenced to 12 years for his role in a scheme that defrauded Medicare of more than 17 million in hospice and he ran hospice companies. So we're going to go back here. No, I'm going to go here. He was sentenced to 12 years for his role in a scheme that defrauded Medicare more than 17 million through sham hospice companies and fraudulent home health care. They submitted claims for hospice and home health services that were neither medically necessary or ever provided. So they're watching, and you don't want to, you just don't want to be out there and leave this on the web for them to be able to. It's not worth it losing your livelihood, your life, the damage to your reputation and patients as physicians. You have too many years in schooling, and most know better once this becomes out in the open. Kevin Breslin, former CEO of KB, WB Operations, Atrium Health, and Senior Living, was sentenced to 90 months in order to pay 146 million in restitution and 8.4 million in forfeiture. So we're going to go to page 42, and we'll see. Here he goes. Kevin Breslin, Chief Executive Officer. You don't have to be the provider and managing member of this LLC doing business as Antrim Health and Senior Living, sentenced to 90 months. What I said, they are watching all the time. The skilled nursing facilities span New Jersey, Wisconsin, and Michigan. These are, you're not going to win. And you don't want to put yourself out there. The Department of Justice is expanding on their wins from 2025. This is why this is their report, and they're expanding on it. Fraud enforcement isn't slowing down. They're gearing up. What to expect? Aggressive and possibly expanded enforcement, targeting fraud tied to federal programs. However, the new fraud division is ultimately structured. The message is clear. Misuse federal funds remains a top priority. Politics, believe it, is shaping priorities. First time I ever knew that. Early signals suggest that the division would operate out of the White House, focus areas that may shift based on policy agendas or politics agendas. That adds uncertainty as to how cases are selected and pursued. Compliance is your first and really only line of defense. Documentation for what you do is crucial. Organization receiving federal funds, especially highly regulated sectors, should reassess internal controls, billing practices, eligibility certifications, and representations made to the government. You can't blame billing on the billing company if you're the CEO or owner of the practice, the business. The healthcare risk management in-house policy is your best defense. This is clinics.com. So I'll open them up over here. I've already opened it up. Clinics.com, or clinician.com. And here in this issue, they cover the evolution of the False Claims Act, opioids, becoming a new threat to data security is AI. Telehealth requires scrutiny. That's going to be a big, big thing. They got a 1-year reprieve to allow telemedicine up until December 2026. Legal review and commentary. Hospital wins dismissal after expert nurse excluded a neonatal injury suit. I'm not suggesting this is the only place to go, but you need to have some sort of resource in your toolbox. Timing matters. As the Department of Justice structure evolves, early engagement with counsel can help assess exposure, manage a parallel civil and hopefully not criminal risk, and respond strategically before these issues escalate. The bottom line. If you receive federal funds, expect scrutiny and prepare accordingly. I hope you found this helpful and have a great day.